Smooth 98.1, love music, love life. It's 31 minutes past 7 a.m. It's a Democracy Day edition of a freshly pressed on the smooth breakfast. Yours truly is Ayokunmi. Welcome into another holiday Thursday or a holiday during the week, the second one for this particular week. Hope you are enjoying the morning and the break as well. Hey, I would always take a break anytime I can actually get, even though my breaks tend to come on the weekends. I never have them during the week because I need to be here to spend time with you on the radio, to walk you through the issues, bring you information, all the entertainment, and everything that you need to put two and two together to make four. My name is Ayokunmi, and welcome once again to another interactive session this morning, 30 minutes of news stories, analysis, and of course, your thoughts and contributions, which mean the absolute world to us. So we're looking forward to you sharing those thoughts on WhatsApp. The number is 0809 444 0981 0809 444 That is the WhatsApp number to share your thoughts, your messages with us this morning. You can also join us on YouTube if that is what works for you. Hey, I'm not complaining at all. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. That is for YouTube. You can leave your comments in the chat box there as well, just to get your thoughts and opinions across. Joining me on a Democracy Day to take a look at the stories. Mr. C and, of course, we are with me. Good morning to you, gentlemen. Thank you for making it on a holiday. I know you'd rather be sleeping right now, but I'm glad to have the company.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Mr. C. And good morning, Lagos. Good to be here today. Happy Democracy Day, Nigeria.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Gbubemi. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, all of our listeners all over the globe.
Yes, indeed. It's a beautiful, beautiful Thursday morning. It doesn't look like there's rain at the moment. Weather looks like it's going to be fantastic. Hope it's not too hot. I can't deal with any heat. Rain as well, I don't want. Just in between weather is what I'm looking for. But anyway, I think it's going to be very, very sunny when it comes to the stories we'll be talking about this morning. And we shall begin our sojourn in the Punch newspaper, where it says that President Bola Tinubu has cancelled the previously scheduled nationwide broadcast in commemoration of Nigeria's 26th Democracy Day anniversary. In a statement on Wednesday, the Director of Information and Public Relations, Segun Imohiosen, attributed the change to President Tinubu's scheduled attendance at a joint session of the National Assembly on Thursday. That's today. Now, he added that the president will instead deliver his Democracy Day address directly from the National Assembly chambers. Now, he added that other scheduled activities to mark the day will proceed as planned. Now, earlier, a note had been sent to journalists, announcing the cancellation of the traditional military parade initially scheduled to mark Democracy Day today. No official reason was given for the military for the cancellation of the military parade, as it were. But Mr. C, I mean, is there much of a big deal in what has happened here? Yes, traditionally an address is given in the morning at 7 a.m. and all that, but is there really a big deal if an address will still be given later on, or is there any meaning to be read into these actions?
Okay, thank you, Ayo. So my personal opinion is we shouldn't read too much into it. The previous broadcasts, the previous statements or video statements by the president that were delivered at 7 a.m., there have been doubts as to whether they were live broadcasts. Some quarters still contend that these were pre-recorded tapes that were simply played for the nation at 7. Now, it's interesting to note that the National Assembly is actually sitting today on a public holiday, meaning that members of the National Assembly's Service Commission have to turn into work on a public holiday, right? And the president is going to address them there. So this is going to be a live address. One of the fallouts from this change in plan or change in arrangement is this: people who would have ordinarily tuned in at 7 to listen to the president's broadcast may not tune into the National Assembly, because we must remember not every Nigerian follows the National Assembly and its proceedings. And I'm one of the guilty parties. I don't. So some Nigerians will miss out on that, but luckily we can get the transcript of anything he's going to say afterwards from the papers. Now, why is he doing that? He's the only one, he and his handlers are the only ones who know why they've changed the plans. Now, if we recall his recent appearances at the joint sitting of the National Assembly, it's been usually turned into a circus at the end when they start singing his mandate song and they start playing to the gallery. I do hope they will not do that today. The second thing to note is that the traditional military parade has been cancelled. Now, obviously, this is not because of the weather. The only other time we saw the military parade cancelled in recent history was, I believe, under the Johnson administration, and there were credible security concerns around that time. It is possible that our security agencies, again, have received credible intelligence and they are unable to sort out the threats and have decided this is the best way to go. Nevertheless, at 12, for Nigerians who are able, free, and opportune to tune in live to hear the president, they should tune in and hear what he has to say. For some of us that are sadly preoccupied at that time, we'll read a transcript. But again, what I think we will hear is, oh, we're on track. There's light at the end of the tunnel. The reforms are now starting to bear fruit. We'll start to see the gains from his policies. Then, of course, the usual chest thumping that they've gotten security under control. Nigeria is in a much better place than they met it 2 years ago, and on it goes. So for me, that's the summary of what he's going to say. I will be truly shocked if he says anything outside this.
Right, Mr. Say, before we walk out of this particular one, I mean, you alluded to the fact that we're having a joint sitting of the National Assembly today. Yes, it is a democracy day, but it is a public holiday as well, and we know how our lawmakers like their holidays and their day offs. Is there anything that we should be, I don't know, reading into the fact that there's a joint sitting today, except the fact that it is Democracy Day?
I wouldn't read anything into this current National Assembly because I'm not impressed with the leadership. I'm not impressed with the members. I'm not impressed with the outputs that they consistently dish out to Nigerians. So let's not think anything altruistic. Let's not think they have the best interests of Nigerians. The National Assembly members are the only ones who know why they have gathered here today. And funny enough, it may not be all of them. It may just be the leadership saying, the president is coming, we're going to honor him. Because if you've watched the Nigerian political space in the past 8 to 10 months, you tend to see a worrying and concerning drift towards one-man worship, one-man adulation, one-man celebration. And any nation should be bigger than that, Nigeria inclusive. So I will not be surprised. The man comes in, they start worshiping him, we start hearing nonsense of we're standing on your mandates and that you are the best thing that has happened to Nigeria since sliced bread. But that's what it is.
That is what it is. Gbubemi, I can see you smiling, smiling behind your hand over there. Interesting times that that we're actually in right now. But you know what? Let us keep this ball rolling. Let me not get your own thoughts on this one because I know that we will not leave this particular story. But we need to talk about River State because a couple of developments have come out of there, and we're stepping into the Daily Post right now. Where the sole administrator of the state, retired Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas, has said the proposed 1.48 trillion naira 2025 budget envisages the return of suspended governors, Minalai Fubara, and other political office holders. Now, Ibas disclosed this in Abuja on Wednesday while defending the budget before the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on River State Oversight. Now, according to him, the proposed budget aligns with the strategic objectives of the River State Development Plan 2017 to 2027. Interesting, coming from the sole administrator. I mean, does that allude to the fact that Governor Fubara will return to office? We've heard different things at different points over, him not wanting to return, blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. Is this the sole administrator kind of, should I say, hinting that he will make a return? And also, interestingly, him talking about the fact that the proposed budget aligns with the strategic objectives of the River State Development Plan 2017 to 2027? Can we say he's working with an already laid out blueprint, or is this just him, should I say, making some assumptions for the governor or for the state, as it were? Are you there with me?
Okay, those were some
Okay.
of the, yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can. We can hear you. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so those were some of the thoughts. Great. So those were some of the thoughts that came to mind as well, because it sort of showed some sort of progressiveness in terms of the fact that, the sole administrator appears to try to, keep things. A state of emergency was declared in Rivers in March for 6 months, which means that it's supposed to expire. So I think it was sometime middle of March, maybe about the 15th of September,
Yeah, thereabouts.
which
So we're
leaves
talking
just
September now.
about, yeah. So that leaves just
Network, please be
about
kind.
3 months. 3 months to go.
Mm. It looks like the spirits of.
The sole administrator basically has taken. Can you hear me?
Yes, you were going in
Sure.
and out briefly.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I was saying that, okay, great. So I was saying that the sole administrator appears to, is trying to keep some normalcy in place. So far, the sole administrator has had responsibilities for the executive function, and ad hoc committee at the House of Representatives has had responsibilities for the legislative function, and the judiciary, was retained. They weren't affected by the state of emergency. You know,
Right,
so, like I said, so looking at the budget now, what they've done now is to prepare a budget, and they've said that it aligns with the River State Development Plan, which is something I assume that also Fubara himself was following, saying that the development plan precedes his entry as governor. That development plan was supposed to last from 2017 to 2027. I'm not quite sure. My assumption rather is that, Fubara was also aligned with that. So it would appear as though, normalcy, is retained, quote unquote, in terms of the budget provisions. However, one thing that the sole administrator did note is that, they got a bit of frustration from state government officials in terms of furnishing details for expenditures. So that may have affected the budget to some extent. I don't quite know, as to whether, the sole administrator was hinting at Fubara coming back in September. I suspect so. Also seeing the tone that Fubara himself has, presented in the media in the last few weeks as well. It appears as though he has, and also with Wiki as well, which is where the problem sort of lies. Hopefully
right,
we get to
right.
see a state where the state of emergency is not extended beyond September, and then the state can go back to democratic rule. However, that doesn't leave the issues that preceded the state of emergency. It
Right.
would be nice to know to what extent, for example, there's harmony in the State House of Assembly. You know, is this going to be a case of are we just going to see renewed efforts continuing from pre-state of emergency, or do we hope that everything has been settled now and then the states can go back to facing the business of governance?
All right. Mr. C, did you have something to add? It seemed like you were okay. Okay,
No.
that's fine. Let me take a message here on WhatsApp, real quick. This is King Joe. King Joe says normally the parade intends the chief to take the salute standing for a while. Will our president's strength carry? Well, I can answer the question, King Joe. I really cannot. Chika says the decision by the president to cancel the Democracy Day broadcast is very commendable. This is because the broadcast itself is always pre-recorded. It always lacks substance and merit. It reduces the morale of the citizens as against uplifting their spirits. And above all, it's a waste of precious 30 minutes that could be utilized for much more serious things. Wow, Chika is on a roll this morning. All right, let's get back into the stories. Mr. C, we're going to talk about we're going to talk about the National Assembly. They're still in the news here, and this is coming from the Daily Trust newspaper. Now, several months after the demise of some federal lawmakers in active service and the resignation of two legislators, the Independent National Electoral Commission, that's INEC, is yet to conduct by-elections to fill the vacuum that has been created. Now, some persons of the affected constituencies have cried out, citing failure of the commission to guarantee them adequate representation and sense of belonging. However, INEC have actually said that, has said that it's been hampered by funds. Now, the commission said that it would act on the issue when funds are made available. And just to add, there are 7 vacant seats at the National Assembly. Mr. C, is this something that we should be concerned about? And I mean, from a legal point of view, what exactly does all this say?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ayo. So to answer your penultimate question first, yes, we should all be very concerned because this speaks to crass ineptitude, very unprofessional conduct, impunity, indifference, illegality. The list is endless. So some of these members died as far back as a year ago. So I'm going to quote verbatim. Now, 2 of the seats are from the Senate, 5 of the seats are from the House of Representatives. Now, Senator Ifeanyi Ubah died on the 21st of September, 2024. Ayo, we're in June 2025. It's almost 9 months later. There's simply no excuse under the sun for this sort of asinine behavior. Now, let's go further. The member representing Garki Babura Federal Constituency of Jigawa State died in May 2024. Ayo, that is 13 months after. That constituency has been without any representation. Now, what does the law actually say? And the list goes on and on. 2 members died in July 2024. Now, in January 2025, the House lost its deputy chief whip. Nothing has been done. In January, now the law says upon the death of the member, right, the presiding officer must first declare the seat vacant, and INEC must conduct a by-election within 90 days. Now, in all 7 instances, none of this was complied with. It took the presiding officer of the Senate months to declare the seats vacated by the present Edo State governor vacant. And even after that happened, nothing else has happened. Now, where the Constitution is being grossly violated, and then the people elected to represent the various constituencies are turning a blind eye and behaving like the ostrich with their heads inside the sand, what does that portend for the ordinary Nigerian? INEC's excuse, and listeners, you need to hear this to believe what I'm saying. INEC's excuse is we don't have money. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, towards the end of last year, federal government ministries, departments, and agencies started budget defenses, started appearing before various committees of the National Assembly, both in the Senate and in the House of Representatives. For the National Assembly members who died last year, one, the cost of conducting the by-elections put into the 2025 budget for INEC. So let's excuse INEC for the guy who died this year that already prepared the budget, nothing can be done. Have they prepared the supplementary budget? So the people who died last year, what was INEC's plan? Knowing fully well they've prepared a budget for 2025, and possibly they started receiving monies in respect of that budget. Now, in all of this, no one will go sanctioned. No one will be asked to account for what has happened. No one is going to be punished, and the cycle of impunity will continue. We're in a very dire situation as a country where the very fabric of our legal system is abused, is not respected, and is disobeyed with impunity. And those who should uphold the law, protect it, are the very ones leading the charge to abuse it. So, as Nigerians, we need to continually ask ourselves questions. Is this the country we want for ourselves? Is this the country we want to bequeath to our children and then to our children's children? And these are very hard questions. The answers don't come immediately. And even if the answers come, we need the will and the discipline to implement those answers. And a general election is around the corner. I just wish the opposition would stop monkeying around, put their house in order, and let's get serious people into office through elections that know what they are actually doing.
All right. Thank you for sharing your thoughts there, Mr. C. Let me take a message or two before I get back to you, Gbubemi. Let me take this one from, this is Lekon in Lagos. It says, there's a saying that when the righteous rule, the people rejoice, but when the wicked rule, the people mourn. I want to ask, are we in a democracy or autocracy? 2 years of sorrow, tears, and blood since this government came into power through. Thank you, Lekon, for your message. This is from, let me see here. This is Barrister Danukuda in Igodo says, the cancellation of the national broadcast is quite in order. The content of previous broadcasts have been meaningless and have not inspired the citizenry in any way. All right, nobody is looking forward to the broadcast because, well, various reasons. All right, but with me, let us have a conversation coming out of the Guardian this morning. And this one, it feels like a feel-good one to me anyways, but I would love to get your thoughts. A transformative project to combat urban air pollution in two of Nigeria's largest cities, Lagos and Port Harcourt, is currently underway. The initiative deploys a network of low-cost sensors and artificial intelligence to monitor PM 2.5, that's dangerous fine particulate matter commonly linked to respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. And the project titled PM 2.5 Monitoring and Policy Recommendations for Lagos and Port Harcourt transport systems using low-cost sensors and artificial intelligence officially commenced on February 1st, 2025, with funding from the Energy Policy Institute at the University of Chicago. And I mean, as we know, with Nigeria's limited air quality monitoring infrastructure, the initiative represents a critical step toward data-driven transport and environmental health policies, particularly in urban centers where pollution levels remain largely undocumented. What are your thoughts on this particular one, Gbubemi?
Yes, this is commendable. This is great. And it's quite good on commercial cities. This is urban pollution, environmental pollution we're looking at. So when we look at things, for example, like exhaust from traffic, smoke from industries. With Port Harcourt, there's the flaring of gas that has been taking place for a very long time now. I'm not quite sure if it still exists now, but it probably still does actually. Where they have a situation where there's a lot of black soup in the air.
That was a big problem.
Only God knows,
in Port
what kind of
Harcourt.
respiratory issues exactly. It probably still is actually, because the people who've lived through it, will probably still, face some sort of issues as a result of that. So it's nice now to have an objective means of assessing the air quality in those two states. Hopefully, responsibilities from the federal government, relevant state governments, and maybe other donor agencies as well. This can spread into other, areas where we have other commercial cities, because, commercial activities typically, enhance bad air quality. Now, it's nice also, like I noted, that we have this, but, we also need to think beyond just assessing the air quality. Already nobody needs to tell us that they have everybody. But we also need to start thinking along as to how to remediate these issues as well. So how do we solve them? So this project seeks to capture that data for about a 12-month term.
The
as
network
to
deciding to
the
misbehave.
pattern of air quality within and after this as well. You know?
Yeah, but you're breaking in and out, breaking in and out.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. So, so I was saying, that the air quality project is assessing that the air quality in those two cities for it. We need to also start thinking about remedial actions to be able to address the poor air quality. In Lagos, for example, we have officials of the VIO, FRSC, who are constantly checking cars. But what we find in a lot of cases is that public vehicles, are not checked, for example, and these
Yeah.
constitute a huge impact on poor air quality because we have a lot of them with bad
Well, all right. Thank you
exhaust
for
pipes leaking into
trying
the
to.
air. There's
Yeah.
also the industrial sector as well, which is probably easier to.
I was going to say
Can you hear
just
me?
wrap it up. Yeah. I was
Okay.
going to say just wrap it
Yes.
up because you're breaking in and out,
Okay.
so that we can
Okay. So
should I say get through.
okay. So basically, it's nice that the air quality index is being measured, but we also need to think about how to enforce, compliance with ensuring that we can improve the air quality in these cities.
Hmm. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. C. Very, very quickly before we wrap it up on the show this morning, let's talk about Senator Adams of Shomole. He has given insight to what transpired on Wednesday morning at the MM1 terminal. Now, he narrated how passengers, including himself, were prevented from boarding an Air Peace flight to Abuja despite having checked in online. Now, he spoke to the Vanguard after a video surfaced on social media showing him in a heated exchange with an airport official and said the commotion at the domestic terminal was sparked by Air Peace's decision to prevent passengers from boarding while allegedly reselling seats at inflated prices to other people on the spot. A lot of things have been said about this particular issue. People have slammed the senator for his action, saying, he normally comes late and so on and so forth. But looking at this particular, looking at his own side of the story, Mr. C, what is your conclusion where this matter is concerned?
Okay, thank you very much, Ayo. And this story is just another recurring episode of the very poor behavior of Nigerian Airlines. They're just full of wonderful stunts. Now, the day before, the senator's flight was canceled by this airline. It was rescheduled to the next day. According to the senator, he then checked in online, which is a standard practice with people who are conversant with air travel, local or international. So, having checked in online, he got to the airport. He was told the counter had closed. Now, he was like, from his perspective, the counter can't close, that he's checked in online. And he was prepared to show them proof, or he actually showed them proof. What should then have happened was he should have been given a boarding pass because he was physically there. But no, they told him that the counter had closed, the plane was leaving. And he's a human being. We need to remember that. Coupled with the fact that he alleged they were selling tickets at the counter for double and triple the price. I can personally testify to this. I've witnessed this a couple of times at the airport. Now, in the process, other passengers were affected. Yes, he should not have barricaded that gate. And the only reason he did it is because of his status and who he is in society. And actually, nothing's going to happen to him.
Well, that is
He's not
something that
going to
should
be.
not be happening
It's
at
something
all.
that should not happen. Yes, sadly. But I'm being honest here. I'm being factual. I can deceive the listeners and say, oh, they're going to arrest him, they're going to prosecute him. It's not going to happen. But the bigger issue here is the conduct of the airlines. It appears their regulator is not doing enough. And I'm thinking, who's the NCAA? Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. They need to do a lot more. In addition to this is a slight divergence. A flight Port Harcourt to Abuja or Abuja to Port Harcourt, you end up landing at cities that were not advertised. And they claim that they're dropping off technical staff, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, back to the story. If you have checked in online, Why can't you get an online boarding pass? Why do you still have to come to the airport physically to get your physical boarding pass? Because with your online, if you're able to check in online, the process should be streamlined to ensure you get an online boarding pass. And as soon as you come in, you move straight to the departure lounge and then you board the plane. There are just so many bottlenecks within our aviation industry that don't make sense. And this is a clarion call to all the airlines, not just the one mentioned in the story. Get your acts together, put your houses in order, and make flying a better experience for each and every traveler.
Alrighty, let me get through the messages that have lined up here. Let me see. This is from Ernest. Ernest says, if Oshomole had had this same experience at Heathrow Airport, would he have reacted in the same way? Well,
sorry, let me quickly jump in. He will not have this experience at Heathrow.
Are we sure?
Because he will be able to get an online boarding pass. People should understand the situation before they respond.
Tony Marimbit says the traditional broadcast has been rid of its meaning and original intent. If we'd had it, we would by now have started picking holes. It's good they spared us that headache. Well, it's been pushed till 12, so there's that. They should go and address themselves at the Joint Assembly, as has been planned, and lie to themselves there. I also advise it should be a closed-door session. We'll seriously appreciate that. Okay, Don Kelvin says, this government will bamboozle you with big English that basically means nothing but amounts to millions getting stolen. What is air quality data control capture using AI? I beg. We like to use sledgehammers to break ice blocks. Well, depends on how big the ice is. You might need a sledgehammer. For the airpiece case, hope we are aware that boarding gates closed 30 minutes before departure time. So what time was his boarding and what time did he arrive? Questions, and more questions. Idemapuza in Surulere says, Mr. President should cancel emergency rule in River State as a democracy day gift to River State people and Governor Fubara. Rivers people would be happy and also reciprocate by giving Nyesom free of charge to APC's government to compensate Mr. President for his kind gesture. Joseph Menier says, is there anything democracy that we should be celebrating? The worst of the uniformed men are far better than these set of politicians that always mark their self-acclaimed achievements. You think so, Joseph? Nigerian leaders demonstrate more of kleptomaniacracy than democracy, which has plunged the country down into poverty and so on and so forth. I had to just summarize the message there so we can keep things moving. Imade says, is it constitutional for a sitting president to name institutional landmarks after himself while still in office? That's a good question. I don't know if there's any rule that says he can't do that, Mr. C. I mean, it might not be, the most, should I say, appropriate thing to do in courts, but I don't think there's any rule against it, is there?
I'm not aware there's any rule forbidding it expressly, but also I'm not aware of any law expressly providing for it. The conventional and customary practice is for a successive government to name institutions or roads after a former president. That's the customary practice.
Well, here we are, customs being thrown out of the window. New day we're living in. Anyways, we need to call it a morning on the show. Thank you all so very much for all your messages. Thank you to you, Mr. C and Gbubemi, for joining me this morning, even on a holiday. And yeah, I know when you had a couple of network hitches, but hey, we got through it at the end of the day. Mr. C.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me.
All righty.
Thank you for having me. Nigerians, just enjoy the public holiday. I'm not sure what democracy we're celebrating, but enjoy the day, recharge your batteries, and look forward to the weekend.
Yes, indeed. Already looking forward to the weekend as I am right now. I definitely need to relax. And anyways, the Smooth Breakfast will continue. For those who want to jump into the grapevine with us, it'll be all about entertainment and everything within that space at 8:15. Keep it tuned.